Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Livingston of Want Leverage Communications, and I specialize in executive visibility and creating thought leadership content on LinkedIn. I want to invite you to download my free tip sheet, Make Your C-Suite Stand Out on LinkedIn. And I think you'll find a lot of helpful tips. Today on PR Patter, we're going to be talking about AI and PR, what you need to know. And I want to welcome my special guest, Linda Zebian of Muck Rack. Linda is Senior Director of Communications and Community, where she sets communication strategy for Muck Rack's enterprise, both internally and externally, including messaging, issues management, media relations, social media, and employee communications. She joined Muck Rack as its first ever director of communications. So you're setting the standard, Linda, in January 2022 from the New York Times. In 2023, Reagan Communications named Linda a top woman in PR for leadership, which is so impressive. So Linda, welcome. And why don't we start by you sharing a little bit more of your backstory, how you got to Muck Rack?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Julie. I'm excited to be here today to talk about this very important topic. I did join Muck Rack in 2022 as its first communications lead from the New York Times. I came here to help and give a voice and give power to people like me. I've been in the industry a long time, and I admired and loved what Muck Rack was doing to help elevate our profession and make us better and get us recognized. I joined from the New York Times. I worked in corporate communications there for about 10 years. It was an honor. And I look back at that very fondly. And before that, I was at Consumer Reports down in Yonkers, New York, doing media relations for that nonprofit. And I started my career as a journalist, actually a trade journalist for a small B2B publication covering the magazine industry of all industries. So I've been in media. I gotta say, I've just been working in media.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to a few friends the other day over lunch about magazines because I too started as a journalist at a teenage fashion magazine, and which I loved. And I'm still kind of addicted to magazines. And I went through the list of every magazine that I currently get in the mail because I just still, maybe it's my age, but I still love reading magazines of all kinds. And I think I still get about eight or nine. So I'm probably in the minority.
No,
I still love my magazines.
We need more of you out there, Julie. Thank you for supporting a free and independent press, right?
Yeah. So Linda, I was fascinated because I happen to be a Muck Rack user, and I read about your report, The State of AI and PR, which was released just this January, 2024. And I was wondering if you could share some of the results and the highlights of your report with us.
Sure. Yes, we did just release a new report, State of AI 2024, as a follow-up that came 8 months after our first State of AI and PR report in 2023. So in just 8 months, AI adoption doubled. That's the highlight, right?
That's incredible.
It's incredible. It surged nearly 40% from when we asked people. So in 2023, folks were maybe a little apprehensive in the beginning. Throughout the year, it seems they have embraced it. And the good news is that it's had a positive impact on work quality and efficiency for those who are using it. 74% reporting an increase in the quality and 89% saying it helps them complete projects more quicker.
Wow.
Wow. So we saw a lot of change last year, and I think, we're headed into similar territory this year.
It's interesting. I've dipped my toe in the AI space, and I definitely need to do a lot more of it. We've been talking a lot about it here on PR Patter. I think I've had maybe 6 or 7 conversations about different aspects of AI so far, which I think is pretty good. And there's a website, there's an AI for that. And I've been following that. And I think about, I don't know, about 8 or 9 months ago when you started this reporting, there were about 7,000 something AI tools available on the market. And now there are close to 12,000. So again, as you said, it just reinforces what you said about there being so much movement and so much growth in what's available in AI. And it really is having a lot of positive impact on what we do in PR.
Certainly, and certainly there is a threat of negative impact, which we can talk about, the fears and the concerns. But I think it can be, the technology can be applied in many use cases. Not, we think of it traditionally as ChatGPT, generative AI, and we did ask our survey takers about, and we had about 1,000 responses, so it was a pretty large survey. And most folks are using AI for writing tasks. So that generative AI, social copy, almost 2/3. Research is a good one. That's not a non-writing task. That's about 58% of folks saying they use it for research. Writing press releases and crafting pitches. So the writing is there, the research is there. A bunch of folks are also using it for strategy. Again, I think that is an extension of the research arm. So yeah, there's lots of different applications, and folks are certainly embracing it.
That's great. Were there any surprises that you saw in the results of the report?
We did have a big surprise, and frankly, when we were putting the questions together to find out, take the pulse of the industry, we had a hunch that there might be some discrepancies. And the big surprise is that a noticeable discrepancy exists between brands and agencies and how they're disclosing AI use. So while 1 in 5, 21% of agency folks admit never disclosing their AI utilization to their clients. Only
And why?
6%.
I mean, this may sound like a stupid question, but why should they disclose AI use?
Well, I guess it's the question, or should they? I think that I think that there are concerns over privacy, and also there's all this talk about hourly rates, and should agencies be charging at an hourly rate, when this thought that from brands that maybe their agency is spending less time because they're using AI. But I think most folks understand that AI is just making them better for you, right?
Right. It's not like they're using it. I mean, you shouldn't be using it for fakery, right?
Right. No, and they're not using it to go have a cocktail on the beach. What they're doing is they're using it for repetitive tasks that can serve as a springboard to make them more efficient, so they can better serve you as a client. So all it does is freeing up time that they know that they didn't have. So like if you're an agency and you bring in another head into your team, would you say, oh, well, we should be paying you less? No, of course not. And
it's just another research tool.
Yeah, it's just another resource and a research tool. And so, no, it doesn't replace that. They're not twiddling their thumbs. What they're doing is gaining back time to invest that time into high value activities for their clients.
And I think that also when you do use AI as a PR person, if you use AI for research, you're also able to kind of check out what the competition is doing more easily.
Exactly. You can check out competitors. You can look to it for inspiration on how to take an angle on a certain news moment. There's all sorts of applications and things you can do with it.
Right. That really help with differentiation.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed.
Can you describe some of the steps that you can take to kind of keep ahead of the curve in AI?
Oh, absolutely. So the thing that most folks, is use it, test and learn, right?
On a consistent basis, yes. I would imagine.
Play with it. Play with prompting generative AI. And then, if you don't get the results that you want, discover ways to refine those results better. There are a lot of ways you can do that. When you're writing a good AI prompt, be specific, define a character limit, be mindful of privacy, review your results. You can use words like list, generate, produce, propose, compile, describe, brainstorm, right? These are great kind of prompts for AI. And then you can go back and say, to refine it, edit, combine, elaborate, reduce, clarify, define, interpret, these kinds of triggers to get the AI to do what you want. So play is my first, for generative, play.
Yeah.
And always vet, always edit and review and make it better.
And
And
then
also try different tools,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
beyond generative, the most important thing that any PR professional communications person can do right now is to get your data into a tool that centralizes it for you. So if you've got stuff in spreadsheets and emails and Slacks and written in your notebook, probably not the best use of your time for your data. So if you get your data in a good PR tech platform that will centralize your data for you, the AI is already starting. The tech's already there to learn from your activity, your lists, your data, who you are, how you work, who you talk to, who you pitch, how often, when, what topics, right? And it learns from that and it can make better recommendations. That's machine learning. Better recommendations for you to just increase your outputs, increase your performance, because it knows you better, it can learn, and it can make a suggestion. Just like Netflix makes a suggestion on the movies you're gonna like. If it couldn't do that, you'd be, fed all sorts of nonsense that you don't want to watch, and you go to sleep upset. You didn't watch anything. You just scrolled, right? It's kind of the same idea.
Absolutely. I think another thing that's probably very important for PR folks is to really find a trusted partner to work with on getting the technology that's appropriate for your particular business. So whether that's Muck Rack or another source, I think that's really, really important, because you have to sort of have that give and take, I think, to kind of make it your own. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of different kind of technology. There's free technology, of course, like your chat GPTs. But if you're looking for really more advanced and really to streamline your efficiencies, you probably need a more advanced technology tool. And so if you're looking for a tech tool, make sure you know what questions to ask. Make sure you understand your needs and your use cases when you're exploring your options out there. Yeah.
Which is why you need to experiment beforehand so that you kind of know what you're talking about.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to be an expert in it, right? Because you're going to have this partner who they're going to kind of guide you along, but you should know enough.
Exactly. You should know at least what questions, what you need, what questions to ask.
So how can a PR consultant or team centralize the data that they have?
So again, they need to work with a reputable, powerful public relations management tool.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is the power of it's a combination of two kinds of data. It's your data, right? So your first party data, your team activity, your media list, your pitches, your reports, your monitoring. And then you have third party data. So for example, if you use Muck Rack, that's Muck Rack's data. So their database, their monitoring power. Where do they monitor? How are you going to know when you're mentioned? How you're going to get your alerts? All of that. And their reporting power. Are they going to tell you about sentiment? What other metrics are you going to have? Do they have a key message pull through metric? Do they have an impressions metric? Do they incorporate Google Analytics? All of these things when you're thinking about how to centralize your data. Those two data sources combined is where the power of the future of the AI will just, hopefully, right?
I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible to have all of this in one place.
Yes.
We used to spend so much time, pulling from here and there and, then figuring out how to meld it all together to show the results of our work. But I mean, this is just, it's just incredible. It's amazing. So how can AI actually help us to write a prompt, a good one?
Yeah. So again, it goes back to test and learn, right? So when you are putting in a prompt, you want to keep a few things in mind. And I did mention some of these before, but just be specific. Like an example, write a short tagline for a new dog grooming service as an example. Okay, that's fine. But you may not get the results you want from that.
Right.
Instead, write a short tagline for the new grand opening of a dog grooming service in San Diego that caters to senior dogs. And you might get what you want, right? And then you want to set the tone too. You can say, I want to be funny, or I want to be serious. You can even have it act as a journalist, right? Act as a journalist and covering the grand opening of my dog grooming service, right? See what it comes back with. You should also define your character limit. So if you're thinking about doing something for X or social, like if you're going to ask ChatGPT, you should say, well, I need, 120 characters or 3 paragraphs. You could be really specific. And I would suggest that. And then you could tell it to avoid jargon. So you should also
that's
avoid
a
jargon.
huge one. That's huge.
Yes. Yeah. So don't use acronyms. Don't use jargon in your prompt, because then you're going to get some nonsense back. AI can hallucinate, they say. Like, it can just make things up. And I've talked to so many folks, especially in the early days, about a year ago, where they would put something in and it would just absolutely come up with a story, that is completely asinine and unrelated. So
right.
we have to tell it, we have to kind of guide it down the hill a little bit and help it understand. Because we again, this is not replacing human oversight, at least not now. So we're in control.
So as you know, I specialize in raising executive visibility on LinkedIn specifically, and in traditional media too. So what about AI and the development of thought leadership content? Powerful thought leadership content.
Absolutely. So I think that you can use it in a similar way. So if you're going to be brainstorming on thought leadership, what should I write about? What's already been said, right? When you're thinking of powerful thought leadership, you're thinking of unique and new. So you're going to go to Google and see what's already been said, see if you can riff on that a little bit. See, you can use, AI, generative AI in the same way. Tell me the top 5 things that are being discussed right now about food insecurity in New York City. Boom. And they'll tell you what's already being discussed, right? Or give me an idea, help me generate an idea to amplify this message, or whatever it is. You can use it. I would be really careful when you're doing thought leadership, and anything in generative AI is to be mindful of privacy too, because all of that information in the AI comes from somewhere else.
Right.
That's someone else's source.
Which is why it's cause for concern. Yeah.
100%. And also what you put in it. So if you're working for an executive and they have an idea, or there is something proprietary or something you don't want out there, ChatGPT may not be the tool for you. So check out other tools that allows for user identity to be obfuscated and data can't be tracked back.
Talk a little bit about the safe use and some guidelines that people should follow when using AI. I mean, you said before you were talking about agency disclosure to clients, and how that's kind of a topic that's been tossed around a bit.
Yeah, we created actually a standards guide. There's a lot of kind of information out there, and I was thinking, how do we make this simple for people? People don't have time to read through 20 pages of rules, right? I think that the first thing is see if your organization might have a training or a policy in place and follow that training. We did ask about that. Only about half of the folks we asked have training or a policy in place. So if you don't have one and you are a leader, maybe make one, and you can start with our standards, right? So there's a few things to think about. Confidentiality. So are you protecting people?
Right.
Are you keeping information private? Responsibility, right? Anything you create, anything you output should always be vetted, fact checked in the same way human created content is. You wouldn't let, someone who's brand new go and, blast a press release out without
No,
looking
you
at it.
wouldn't. No.
No, you wouldn't. So I think, simple. It's kind of like, well, this doesn't mean like you're again sipping margaritas on the beach. This is nonsense. This is you have to be even more careful. And then for images, if you're creating images, you absolutely should label them. Both journalists and PR folks, if you created an image using AI, it should be labeled that it was created using AI. And then again, we talked about management and training. It's the responsibility of your organization to train and create policies. But really, at the end of the day, it's about you, single individual practitioner. You are responsible for what you create.
Right.
So vet it. And our point of view again is agencies that follow these kinds of guidelines and are using AI responsibly shouldn't need to disclose it, right? It's when you're not following, if you are putting in information, So if you follow these normal kind of obvious, they're not obvious to other people, but industry standard guidelines, you shouldn't have to disclose it. When you use a spell checker, do you disclose it to your client? We've been using AI and Muck Rack for years for monitoring. Do you say, I use Muck Rack to get alerted of your mentioned client, and therefore I should be paid less? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. So you don't have to disclose it, but of course, goodwill is important. And I think in a way, if I worked at an agency, I'd be like, yeah, we use AI. We're saving.
Oh my God,
time.
absolutely. Like, are they behind the times or are they with it?
Exactly. Of course, we're using AI. We're using it responsibly, confidentially. We're checking every single output. We are embracing the technology. And these are all the things that we did by saving time with AI. Or these are the outcomes we got for you. These are the hits we got. We didn't know this journalist covered ice cream. But you know what? The AI in Muck Rack informed me that I'm missing a journalist on my list. Boom, boom. And then we got you coverage on your ice cream. Boom, boom. And you're happy and we're happy and all is well.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So one of the things that publicists spend a lot of time doing, and it's not easy these days with no more phones, phone numbers, is in the pitching process. So how can AI help? And do you have a case study that you could share with us about how AI is being used in PR?
Yes. So AI is massively helpful with pitching on both the creation side of the pitch and the pitching and the media relations and media lists. So we have in Muck Rack, in terms of a case study, we have a customer, Break of Dawn, which is a PR link building agency. They've been using PressPal, which is our generative AI tool. So PressPal has a couple of components. It has a pitch component that keeps your pitch. It's like ChatGPT, but doesn't take your data. Put in your prompt, it creates a pitch under 200 words because that's what our research found is the ideal maximum limit. And then it creates a pitch for you. You can copy and paste it and edit it and make it your own. Also can do it on a press release side. So you just toggle the thing, make a pitch, make a press release. In addition to that, it offers, and that's free actually for anyone. So if you're not paying for Muck Rack, go check it out. And then it offers a list of journalists who may be interested in your news based on the inputs the keywords you put into the prompt. So that's really great because then you're finding journalists you may not have known about.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So those are the components of this tool, and Break of Dawn is using us for that. And then, and their kind of point of view is, oh, you miss a keyword or you don't think of it, and you don't add somebody to your list, but like the AI does it for you. And then in addition to that, we also have a tool called Recommended Journalists, which actually looks at your media list. So again, your centralized data, the media lists you already have that you built on your own and that you use. And it says, hey, and it kind of pops up and it says, hey, you might want to, if you're building a new media list, you might want to add this person to this media list based on your former media list or other media lists and your actions you took. Again, you think about when you're building a list, you have to remember every single person for
that is huge. That is just huge.
Yeah.
Because there are so many niche publications these days, digital publications. You can't possibly know all of them.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
It's
great.
power for our, we're all so maxed out, right? We're saturated with information.
Yes.
Let the AI handle that for you and do something like more productive than trying to remember, which journalist might cover this particular
That's
news.
great. Well, Linda, this has been a fantastic conversation. I've learned so much, and I'm actually getting even more pumped to dip more toes in the AI water for sure. What's the best
Awesome.
way for people to get in touch with you?
They can email me, linda@muckrack.com. Very easy, simple. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn too. Linda Zebian on LinkedIn. Check me out there.
Okay, fantastic. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Remember to download Make Your C-Suite Stand Out on LinkedIn at wantleverage.com. And I'll see you next time on PR Patter.